I started to realize that my relationship with music might not be as simple as I always thought. People always throw around the phrase, "I'm addicted to music." I've said it myself, but recently I've caught myself wondering, what does that really mean? Is it a figure of speech, or can music become something we genuinely depend on, emotionally? That question came from something I noticed about myself. If I go an entire day without listening to music, I don't just think, oh, I feel like listening to a song. There's a certain discomfort sitting in the background till I finally put my AirPods in and press play. When I get home from work, I already know what the first song is going to be, then the second, and even the third. Those first few songs have become a ritual, not necessarily because they're my favorite, but they seem to satisfy something I've been craving throughout the day. After that, I can go on listening to anything. For the longest time, I always thought I just simply loved music. A while ago, I was walking around the lake, listening to music, like always, when I suddenly drifted into one of the most vivid daydreams I've ever had. Without even trying, my mind found its way back to a certain place, a certain timeline, a certain person. I could see them so clearly that they almost felt present. I could picture their smile, the way they looked at me, the conversations we'd have. I knew none of it was real, so I never lost touch with reality. But emotionally, it felt real enough. Then while I was walking, I tripped on an uneven part of the ground, and that stumble instantly pulled me out of the daydream. I noticed that I immediately felt disappointed, not because I stumbled, but because the feeling had ended. I realized that I didn't want my mind to stop creating whatever it was creating. For those few moments, it had built a world that felt comforting in a way I struggled to put into words. Later that evening, I sat alone in a completely dark bedroom with my AirPods in. No lights, no distractions, just music. Once again, my mind began to build another world. A world where conversations happened that never happened, where certain moments lasted a little longer, where things left unsaid somehow found their way into words. A world that was near perfect and most definitely peaceful. The kind of place your heart quietly wishes still existed. And that's when I started to ask myself, what was I actually experiencing? I've never been good at just accepting, oh, it's the way I am. I always believed that if we pay close enough attention, there's usually a reason behind the way we think, behave, or feel. Maybe not a complete explanation, but enough to understand ourselves a little better. And maybe that's because I've spent so much of my life trying to understand myself instead of simply just accepting myself. So I started looking up online. I kept searching because I couldn't shake the feeling that there had to be an explanation. Not necessarily for who I am, but for what I was experiencing. Eventually, I came across something called maladaptive daydreaming. It's a term that's often used to describe vivid, immersive daydreams that can become so addictive that they begin to interfere with parts of a person's daily life. And as I continued reading, I found myself stopping every few sentences, because it felt as if though someone had quietly observed my own mind and written it down. People describe becoming completely immersed in imagined conversations, relationships, and scenarios while still knowing they weren't real. They talked about different triggers. For some people it was reading, for other people it's movies, but for me it seemed to be music and certain locations. At first, finding a name for it felt strangely comforting. For the longest time I assumed that this was simply something unique about me. And so another thought crossed my mind. Maybe I wasn't only craving music anymore. Maybe I was craving where music allowed my mind to go. Because I noticed something had changed. Years ago, if I listened to music and a daydream happened, it happened naturally. Now I sometimes catch myself putting on music with the hope that I will drift into one of these worlds again. Not because I want to escape reality, but because for a little while, it feels like I get to spend time somewhere my heart truly wants to be. The strange thing is that my imagination never takes me anywhere dark. It almost always creates moments that simply feel human, like being understood, laughing with someone, looking across and seeing a familiar smile, finishing conversations that never had an ending. Sometimes I wonder, am I creating new memories, or am I simply trying to hold on to old feelings? So the other day I went back to the same lake, and I noticed something else this time. Before I'd even put my AirPods in, before a single song had played, my imagination had already begun. As I walked, I found myself imagining that I'd see the same person when I reached a particular part of the lake. I knew the chances of that happening were incredibly small, but my mind had already decided otherwise. I could already picture their face, what I'd say to them, even what they were wearing. It wasn't hope, it was habit. That's when yet another thought had crossed my mind. Maybe music wasn't the only trigger. Maybe certain places had become emotionally tied to these daydreams. Maybe my brain had simply learned to associate these places with these feelings. So the moment I arrived, it already knew where it wanted to go. I've always been someone who notices patterns. I pay attention to the little details. A change in someone's behavior, even small changes in their routine. Things that other people either often overlook or just don't seem to notice. Whenever I notice something unusual, I instinctively want to understand it better. I find myself asking why. Why did I notice that? Why does it make me react this way? Why does my mind seem to care so much? I'm sure some of my friends are well aware of this kind of behavior. Realizing that music and certain places might be triggers for these daydreams felt like another pattern I just recognized. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, but I do think it's something I should understand, because I try to live my life intentionally. I know I can't control everything, but I would like to understand the habits and patterns that quietly shape the way I experience the world, before they begin shaping me without even me realizing it. It feels like my mind is constantly analyzing my environment, looking for inconsistencies, something to question, something to understand. And as much as I analyze all of this, I can't ignore how beautiful those moments can feel. They remind me that the human mind is capable of creating experiences that feel incredibly vivid, emotionally rich, and deeply meaningful, even when we know they're imagined. Sometimes they feel so real that for a few moments, my mind almost forgets the difference between remembering someone and imagining them. Unfortunately, these are things that I'm experiencing and I don't quite understand all yet. I don't exactly know what all of this means. Maybe it's simply the way my mind works. Maybe it's maladaptive daydreaming. Maybe it's something else entirely. I'm just trying to understand it. But the whole experience has left me with a much deeper appreciation for just how powerful your mind can be. How it can build an entire world from a single song, a familiar place, or even a memory of a single person. And maybe that's one of the most beautiful and sometimes heartbreaking things about being human. That even when someone is no longer standing beside us, your mind can still remember exactly where to find them.